So, Promise was recently on an interview on a podcast with a lady by the name of Kanyisa. So, I actually got recommended the video yesterday, and there was something that they were talking about that it sounds like something I've actually quoted a verse of. So, I'll show you that verse after we listen to this particular conversation that we're having.
Marriage and family dynamics.
Marriage. So, that's a very Christian topic. So,
what out of all the things you could have started made you start that movement? Was it like a calling or something you became passionate about?
Promise started this thing of my husband this, my husband that. That basically, a person who talks in all positives about their partner. Nothing bad with that.
The movement 2 years ago, I got married 8 years ago. Yeah. Right, 2018. I got married 8 years ago. The movement started maybe 2-3 years ago. Sure. And that was just at the back of where I was at that point, right? Which is a wife that is a stay-at-home, a housewife, that is really just my husband. This is my husband there, yeah. Work-wise. I wasn't working. My husband was taking care of me, taking care of the kids, Yeah. But in that, I would say it was a big call for me because when I looked around, I even made a video on TikTok that there is so much divorce content that is going on, and there is less marriage content. Yeah.
The WhatsApp group of divorce gets very angry when people talk good about marriage because they have one side view. It's shocking that there are people out there that want one side view of marriage. Why did Nandi get attacked? Because she spoke of this side, this good side of marriage. And that's what Promise says. That's what prompted me.
So my husband that was really about marriage content, a young 25-year-old that is excited about being married, being well kept and all that. That's how it started. For me, it was a call. It's still a call. Yeah. It's just that it evolved into where I am today. Yeah. So that's a beautiful moment, and I really wish wives especially can embrace being married. Yeah. Being aside saying my husband is my husband, and marriage itself, it's so rare that we find wives that will come here and speak about the goodness of marriage, you know. And I'll take it back to my podcast as well. I've sat with more divorced women than I've sat with married women. Really? Yes. I've sat with more divorced women than married women, and I think this is because it's almost as if it's also legacy that has been passed down to us. Of course.
She goes to highlight, like there's entire conversations when which she reflected on and realized that people at the end of the day, they only reflected on everything bad. And it's like, wait, was that the whole marriage? It was bad from the beginning all the way through? Like all of you.
Aside saying my husband is my husband, and marriage itself, it's so rare that we find wives that will come here and speak about the goodness of marriage. Yeah.
Of the goodness. Wives, particularly, speaking about the goodness of marriage. You can't tell me there is only the devil in the world. You only reckon the devils? Where is God in the whole thing? Because even in this world, there is the devil and then there is God. Where is God? You only know the devil? Something is wrong. We must be very careful to elevating pain. Very careful with that. And when a person wants you to elevate pain, be careful with that person as well. When you open 1 Corinthians chapter number 10, it says, there has no temptation taken you, but such as is common unto men. You see, when a person elevates pain, they forget that the pain that they faced is common to people. By men there, it doesn't mean men, the gender, it means mankind as a whole. There is no experience that you have gone through temptation, it's like somehow exceptional. Nothing exceptional. Your pain is just as much as the pain of others. As long as you're dealing with humans on this planet, you're going to deal with pain that is common. Now, why is that important? So that you don't elevate the pain. The reason why people elevate the pain after divorce and so forth is because they start to think their pain is somewhat, it's so unique. Now, there's other people who've gone through that. Okay? There are people on social media men on social media who can't stop talking about, you've seen them on podcasts and so forth, like some go to DJ's Boo, some go to Penuel, and they just talk about how bad committing to a relationship or not wanting to be a stepfather, those type of conversations. Yeah, that's a person who's speaking from hurt. That's not a person who's reflecting the impact that one individual leaves to another person. Why? Because they think the pain that they went through, it's elevated to God's status. So now they are only in viewpoint towards pain. You have to be very careful when it comes to this. In our discipleship session, we went through this particular thing of dealing in trauma. Our discipleship session, by the way, ran for 1 year, but we covered so much. We covered so much that I constantly reference it back. If you haven't heard it, do check it. This is the number right there, in case you can't see it when I'm sitting on top. So just WhatsApp me and say, Ricky, send me the discipleship thingy. And yeah, I gotta really scrape some of the videos off of thingy because my drive is full. So it's so important we do not elevate pain to a point of God's status to defining an entire individual. There's people who have come out here whose entire brand is this elevation of pain. How do you know that you're not thinking? You deem it as common. You don't feel no, you can't tell me. You've seen a person, when a person is in pain or something like that, you try to console them. They say no. You say, I know how you feel. You say, no, you don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying I know exactly how you feel like directly, but I mean like I can sympathize. But they say, no, you don't know. That's a person who's elevating pain. They're elevating pain. Fabio. Right there. But such as is common unto men. But God is faithful. When a person elevates pain, what they're doing is they're saying that God is not faithful. Yeah, no, that's what you're saying. Okay? You have to recognize, if you deem it common that people face this, you are saying God is faithful. Who will not suffer that you be tempted above what you are able? Who will not that you'll far above what you are able, meaning you are able to carry that pain. You are able to carry things. Yeah, we've been hurt. We've seen all of that. We heal and we keep it moving. Some of us won't even address some of the things that we've seen. We may do so just for a lesson, but not to talk about it in a way that we've had some type of pain. But we don't elevate. You're careful not to elevate pain. And which is what these ladies are talking about. Where is this good? Where is the good? Marriage in itself is very good. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's been married for about 3 years right now. It's actually 4 years. And funny enough, when he was starting to devote towards getting married, his father passed. Yeah, like literally when he devoted towards getting married, his father passed. And it was such a fascinating thing for me how his life literally transitions into adulthood or into marriage life literally after his father passed. Because his anchor was his father. And then immediately after that, off towards the state of maturity into marriage life. And then after that, he just took off. He's not from South Africa. He was from a different country. And he just took off. His life just completely took off. A different other friend of mine, he's never in one country. He's never one country. I think I last saw him 2017. When he was by himself, working hard and all of that stuff, it was just here. But immediately he got married. His wife's job is like in different places. He's constantly managing, project managing and whatnot. Up there, there's no place he has not been that guy. So in some aspects, marriage life elevates a person. The same way the Bible says, he that finds and obtains favor with God. Now, this is why the voices of bad, you want to be very careful about. Okay? Now, you let them deal with what they're dealing with. Just get out of their way. If they want to deal with it, they'll deal with it. If they don't, you're not going to do nothing about that. We're not here to chase people. If people don't want the healing, because remember, blessed are the pure at heart, for they shall see God. So this person is denying seeing the good in life, like in general. Yeah, so it says a lot. When it says they shall see God, it's not necessarily talking about sight, seeing God. You get the idea. It's that they shall see God, meaning you will see God at work in your life. Here, oh my, wow, over there. You constantly have Him inside. Be very careful of people that do not have a God that is faithful to take you through pain and difficulty, who will not suffer that you be tempted far above what you are able, and will, with the temptation, make a way of escape, that you are able to bear it. You see this? That you are able to bear it. That you don't lift pain to be status. That pain does not become the only thing. This thing. You must hold both sides. This is the bad, this is the good. But can you recall the good? Do you know the good? And how do you reckon the good? You want that balance. And be very careful, I repeat, be very careful of people on social media feeding you the idea of this bad, this poison. That person is selling you an agenda. And it's not an agenda that they crafted, it's as old as time can be. It's as old as time can be. They want you to lift and elevate pain. The question is, which one will you choose? This is the Reality Show. Other episodes down to the bit down in the pin comment, and I'm going to see you on a later on video.